It feels like just yesterday we were ranting, but welcome back everybody. It's time for another TAETRO rant. Thank you all for joining me today. Today I am ready and prepared to pop off about this whole NFT situation. Now, I've largely stayed away from talking about NFTs. I'm not participating in any NFT projects. I've been offered a few, passing on all of them, because while I do believe Web3 sounds like a very intriguing prospect, I do not believe that as they stand, NFTs are providing any real value to this community in particular. And the whole scene seems to be rife with corruption, grifting, people out to make just a profit off of the hard work of artists. I'm not going to explain what NFTs are because that's been explained to death already. So you can use google.com if you do want to figure out what the heck an NFT actually is. And I'll tell you what, my first impression was, wow, I follow a lot of really amazing digital artists whose work exists solely in a virtual world. And wouldn't it be great if those people could indeed get paid for their work versus, just having people retweet it on Twitter, right-click save as, whatever it may be. That, in a nutshell, sounds pretty good. However, the results of what's actually happening with NFTs is not good. And we're going to talk about a couple examples of that today. The first one being hot off the press. It's an ongoing situation, so maybe the situation has changed by the time this video is out. But a website launched called HITPIECE.com, and this is specifically a music NFT site that I found kind of odd and interesting and suspicious.
It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
Basically what it is it has this entire catalog of music that anybody can go and add a track to their hit list, which ultimately ends up creating an auction to mint that particular track or album as an NFT. Imagine if you went on Spotify right now and typed in TAETRO, found your favorite track of mine, and suddenly you could mint it on the blockchain and kind of own it. That's essentially what HITPIECE is. Now, what you might find suspicious, or at least interesting about this, is that I've never uploaded my music or opted in to being a part of HITPIECE, nor have I think many of the artists included on HITPIECE, because essentially, well, at least yesterday before they took the site down, which I'll talk about in a minute, you could search basically any artist, any song, any album, and start the bidding. The reason I made the Spotify analogy is because it does seem to be at least pulling from some other site's catalog, or at least some other site's API, because like I said, I've never uploaded my music to HITPIECE, and there's no way that all of the artists on HITPIECE opted into being a part of this site. So they must be pulling the info, the artwork, the actual tracks from somewhere. More on that in a moment. Now, HITPIECE's model is that fans can purchase their favorite tracks, mint them as NFTs, add them to their collection. Then they can potentially sell those tracks as NFTs as well on the secondary market, and artists get a royalty from these sales. However, first of all, you might say that sounds pretty good. Artists get paid. We love artists getting paid. Well, yeah, but imagine this. Imagine you walked into somebody's house, took their favorite plant off the shelf without them giving you permission, brought it outside, and sold it to somebody on the sidewalk. Now, when your friend asks you, "Where is my favorite plant?" if you respond to your friend, "Oh, I sold it, but don't worry. Here's 50% of the sale price. Here's some money for your favorite plant that I just sold and kept a percentage of the sales of." That would be strange behavior. And perhaps that plant, which was not yours to sell, held some other value to the original owner that is not necessarily monetary. And that is the big problem here, right, with HITPIECE? If I don't give you permission to sell a thing that belongs to me, you don't have permission to sell it. Regardless of how much you give me, you could give me 50%, 70%, 90%, 100% of the sales. If I don't want my product on your platform for sale, as the copyright holder, that is absolutely my right to say. So when I distribute my music, I pick all the stores that it goes to. The major streaming platforms, I opt into those. HITPIECE, on the other hand, just said, nope, we're taking all of them and we're not even going to ask you for permission. And they've done this, like I said, with huge artists and franchises in general. There were auctions for tracks from Disney and Star Wars and Pokemon and John Lennon. Now, I don't necessarily have the best lawyer in the world or the funds to pay the best lawyer in the world, but those companies sure as heck do, so good luck with that, HITPIECE. And of course, this is all hitting the fan for them anyway, because there was an extreme backlash against HITPIECE, basically causing them to take their site down, likely as a result of many people reporting them and finding out where their website was hosted. And it was hosted on Amazon Web Services. Many websites are hosted through Amazon Web Services. And now when you go to their site, it just says, we started the conversation and we're listening. But actually, you didn't start the conversation, HITPIECE. The artists started the conversation when they created the work that you attempted to steal and profit off of. And my question is, at any point in this product's development, did nobody say, don't you think it's weird that we're just taking the work of other artists and selling it without their permission? Like, not one voice in the room saying that, although I'm sure in this kind of rich tech bro world that any voice that did say that was just not offered an opportunity to continue at the company. And anybody that may have been thinking that in the back of their head, in the interest of keeping their job, did not voice that opinion. But of course, since their site was likely reported so many times, they launched a new Google-hosted website, which is gethitpiece.com. That site has a more general landing page where you can find out more about the product, the scheme, the scam. But at the moment, you can't actually mint any of these pieces anymore right now. And that's insane. And that's a good thing, but I have no doubt that it will reemerge in some form. And now, like I was saying, it's odd to me that you could go to this website and find like any track by any artist and the art is there and it's all there. So like, where are they pulling this from? Who's complicit in this, or are they taking things by some other means that other platforms don't know about? And of course, all the information I'm about to share is like unverified stuff that I found on Twitter, but nonetheless, it's interesting. Andy Bio on Twitter said all their artists/album images are pulled from Spotify's CDN. I don't know what any of this tech stuff means, but my suspicion was sort of confirmed by this in that they are literally just pulling all of this straight from the Spotify API. Is Spotify complicit in this, is my question? If so, consequences should arise. There's rumors that the founder is a music tech bro that's been in the space for a while, working for some major labels, and perhaps has some connections at Spotify. So even if Spotify is not intentionally complicit, they should at least take note of what's happening here, either deny them use of this API or own up and say that they're on board with all this scammy stuff. Another thread that I found on Twitter, which is actually a screenshot from Facebook, comes from The Human Fly on Twitter, and somebody named Derry Barros commenting, got some inside information from a close mutual friend of the owners of HITPIECE. Again, this is alleged. I don't know if this is 100% true or not. Rory Felton, that is actually the name of the founder. Here, they're alleging a direct relationship with Spotify. And it says, supposedly anytime an NFT is sold, they hold the money for the artist to claim. If they wish not to sell it, they return the money to the consumer. Swiftly responding to DMCA requests, they're reportedly anticipating a ton of lawsuits and hope these lawsuits will lead to major press and position them to cut deals with the labels and artists involved. Also worth noting, they've raised $5 million in funding so far. So yes, some truths start emerging. Is this some long game to get some kind of press? We've heard the expression, all press is good press, but nonetheless, this is a pretty scummy product, especially if it is not something that artists can choose whether or not to enter into. Again, seeing we had no say over whether our work was included, what our royalty cut would be, I guess we just say, okay, HITPIECE, you let us know. You take our thing and sell it and let us know. Of course, we do that with big platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. We just take whatever they give us, and that is another toxic part about the digital music industry in general. But for a new platform to emerge that is part of this new Web3, which is supposed to be this Shangri-La of the virtual world, right? We're going to evolve and do things better and be artist-centric, maker-centric, decentralized even. And those two things are conflicting in general. So explain that, NFT bros. So your idea, HITPIECE, was to just launch this platform without asking any artist's permission and try to make as much profit as possible. Great. Yeah, that sounds like the paradise that you keep purporting Web3 to be. Sounds freaking fantastic. Overall, really, really lame. Stay away from hitpiece.com. If you want to support the artists that you really like, go purchase their music in the places that they're telling you to go purchase it. Go buy a t-shirt from your favorite artist, like whatever it may be. There are plenty of ways to support your favorite artists and get something in return that don't involve some shady middleman platform. I don't know what else I can say about this. But we also had another conversation on stream the other day, which I'll play you a couple clips from, about Audius, which is this I don't really understand the blockchain involvement here, because right now it's just kind of like a reskinned SoundCloud that will eventually have some blockchain implications. Or at least that's their plan if they don't get shut down. New blockchain-based music streaming service Audius is a copyright nightmare. New startup Audius says its blockchain-based music streaming service is the solution that finally pays attention to indie artists' needs. It's also full of pirated material. Audius website says music platforms were at their best when they listened to what artists and fans wanted, not corporations or major labels. Now, uploaded tracks can never be censored or removed. So, okay, that's interesting. You know, YouTube could remove you for all kinds of reasons, TOS, etc., etc. Secret sauce, while Yahoo Finance says it is adequately addressing the most pressing needs within the industry. But one of the most pressing problems in music right now is copyright. Audius contains infringing material such as unlicensed version of Ariana Grande and Iggy Azalea's Problem. That, if its promotional materials are right, the company cannot remove. All right, so I see where the problem is. You have this platform that is meant to be like, okay, we're not going to remove you, we're not going to censor you, but then what happens when somebody uploads something they don't own? Like, this sounds... I don't even know that this sounds good on its face. Never be censored or removed. Like, if there was somebody posting like dangerous stuff that incited violence, that should be able to be removed. And also, say somebody uploaded one of my tracks, I'd be pissed. Audius is directly competing for SoundCloud's audience, which may explain its problems. So yeah, you could see how if there were like these amazing mashups and amazing remixes that are kind of like bootleg, like it's kind of sus, you're not supposed to sample other people's music without permission, etc. Like, as soon as that's gone, the magic of this being a sort of like underground haven for then unknowns, then it takes the magic away. But ultimately, that's what happens when you have a lot of eyeballs on your thing, on your platform. I feel like that's inevitable. They say we don't have the ability to deplatform or censor you. What I hear when I read that is it's going to be real difficult for us to take down anything that you put up. I gotta say, this statement is accurate. It could create scarcity, limited digital releases. That's a good thing, because limited edition physical goods are good, but we know that everything is moving more and more digital. And then creating unique rewards that are like tied into the NFT sale or the blockchain. I agree with that. So from this perspective, I don't understand why a streaming service would need to be built on blockchain. I was reading this article from The Verge, which talks about the decentralized nature of Audius and the fact that it's contributing to a major copyright problem. Because right now, if you're an artist and you opt in to uploading your music to Audius, then that's great. You chose to go on this new platform. We have some people in this community that choose to do that. That's all well and good. But what's actually happening on Audius is people are uploading copywritten music that is not theirs, that does not belong to them, some from major artists. And because this platform is decentralized, Audius actually can't take down those offenders. If that's the case, it would be very easy, I assume, for a big record company, someone with a big legal team, to just sue them into oblivion because they are unable to take down copywritten content from their platform. If they can't take individual pieces off of their platform, that would ultimately mean that the entire site would have to come down. So this beautiful idea of decentralization already, even though we are early in this Web3 thing, is causing a lot of problems for these platforms. This impacts the small independent artists that are sort of going to these platforms as something new, a place where they can maybe gain some attention or build their own communities through their music. It's affecting them because if Audius gets completely shut down and you built a community on Audius, you're kind of screwed. Do I think the folks over at Audius had the same ill intention as the folks over at HITPIECE? It doesn't seem that way, but all in all, in this whole Web3 thing with NFTs and decentralization, why can't these people just be slightly more thoughtful about their products and about their process? And why is it such a rush to launch these platforms and launch these products before these problems are solved? And the reason to me is simple. It's a gold rush. Right now, there's not much regulations, so you can launch a platform like HITPIECE that just steals a bunch of copyright work and sells it. And if you do that, and even if you mint a couple NFTs that go for whatever amount of Ethereum, which is the currency, you can probably make a lot of money on the back end. And by the time somebody says something, by the time somebody calls it out and says, nah, that ain't right, you can shut down the site and disappear into the night with all your profits. And good luck, because if I go to hitpiece.com right now and try to contact them and get my royalties if somebody sold one of my tracks as an NFT, I can't get that because your site is shut down and you're gone and you've disappeared. And you're probably protected by whatever company structure you've formed. And now you can go ahead and go start another business that will probably find some other way to rip off artists in this space. So that's my take. I don't want to be the old man on the stoop that says kids these days, new things are bad, but of course I want progress. Of course I want new means of sharing my music. I want new means of enjoying music, new means of consuming art in general, and ways to support artists. I want all those things, but not at the expense, obviously, of those artists. Not at the expense of people who create things not being properly compensated for those things that they create and not even having a say in what that compensation is. That's all the same problems of old music industry. And of course, it's one of the major reasons that I have not rushed into this space because I don't know enough about it. It hasn't played out enough. You want to take the Gary Vee advice of being bullish on a new idea? Well, that comes with some implications and it comes with some responsibility on your end to be extra careful, extra safe, and own up to the mistakes that you make along the way. And unfortunately, shutting your site down and just saying we've started a conversation is not that. It's not owning up to it. Let me know what your take is on this topic in the comments down below. I would love to hear your take. Not looking for the tech bros to fervently defend Web3 or NFTs. I'm just not interested in the conversation. It's a lot of bloat in the responses that I see, a lot of soaring language about how it's this beautiful thing. Like, I'm just not interested. If you want to give me tangible examples about how it's helpful, about possibilities for the future, I'd love to hear those, of course. But let's also remember that those are possibilities for the future and largely not being implemented right now in a great way. But if you have examples that prove me wrong on that, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Like actual examples, not like hypotheticals of what you think it could be, because for the most part, that's all I see. Thank you all so much for watching another TAETRO rant. Hope you did enjoy it. Go watch a previous rant if you haven't yet, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more actually like music content, not just like ranting. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.